How would you describe the typical individual that accesses your services? And I know there's various services, but if there was a way to describe the demographic that you're looking to serve, who would that person be?
We're predominantly serving a Hispanic population. About 90% of our clients are Hispanic. A majority of those are female, and they're of childbearing age, so they're between 18 and 40. They have children, and their children are also being served by us. The children are usually also Hispanic. The children tend to be more bilingual. The adults may be monolingual Spanish or mildly comfortable, but the Spanish would be the language spoken in the home. Income levels are low to very low, some moderate income levels.
If I may interrupt, when
Sure.
you say low to very low, do you mean the per capita income low in El Paso?
Family income of that family. The median income in El Paso is about $26,000. We'd be looking at probably about 14 to 20,000
Okay.
in our population.
So generally speaking, the indigent community.
Indigent but working.
Right, right.
Yeah. So
The
there would
working poor, I guess, is
be,
the word
working
that they're
poor
calling
would be
it.
the classic phrase.
And as you have continued to grow the organization, I'm very curious, and I know we've had very short discussions on this, but how do you approach from the management side trying to keep all of this moving? I mean, it is a massive endeavor, departments in different areas, all sorts of very talented, very highly experienced people to work with. Obviously, all sorts of different personalities. How do you manage all that? What's your management style?
I don't know. What we've done is that each of our program areas have fairly strong supervisors who are also understanding themselves to be part of a larger team. There's a constant tension between working together and doing really good work in your own field. And that's a balancing act that you never are totally balanced. You're always kind of moving the pendulum one way or the other. You try to keep in touch with folk and listen to where they're experiencing perplexities and try to find ways to resolve those perplexities. I guess I see my job as unblocking what needs to happen. I think my wife, Carol, in her role as co-director, sees her job as maintaining the integrity of the system. And so we each take a different perception, and that tension itself also has, I think, been one of our strengths, is that we look at things differently. So
Good sounding boards.
Well, sounding boards, and also different emphasis. And you need that balance, I think, in most systems between integrity and problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain things that would solve a problem, but you shouldn't ought to do them.
That's absolutely for sure. The time that I've worked with you, I've noticed that part of your management style, the way that you lead, is that you really do allow for people to have some room to figure out what their potential is. You've given people, in what I've seen, room to make mistakes and room to explore how far they can go on their own, and really to learn how to ask questions of themselves and really kind of be introspective before they go out and seek information. Really understand kind of where they're going with what they're doing and what questions to ask. I remember Tony Robbins once trained that it's the questions that drive us. It's the questions that really people need to learn how to ask better questions, and you'll get better answers. You ask silly questions, you get silly answers. You ask better questions, you get better answers. And I've seen that as you've develop that style, it's really, it's helped people develop, and that's an incredible thing. In the short time that I've known you, I know that you've always been very modest. So how do you do that? How do you, and I know you're going to say something awesome like I just do it, but give me your words on
Well,
that.
I do not experience myself as modest.
Really?
No. I experience myself as having priorities and focus and trying to make things happen. And working at it.
Do you have a routine, a professional or personal self-development that you engage in on a regular basis? Do you have mentors yourself?
I think probably Carol is my largest mentor in my life. And for my routine, we also co-pastor a church on the weekends. It's a small congregation in the valley, Faith Presbyterian. And the discipline of engaging with the text and that fellowship both forces and helps me to reflect on the other stuff that I'm dealing with.
Interesting. Your wife also pastors?
Mm-hmm. But not the same way I do. So she doesn't do the preaching, she does the organizing. And again, it's a way in which each of us can see things differently and yet work together.
You make it work.
So far.
Yeah. Well, you've been together just a little while. How many years have you been married?
So we got married in 1970.
Okay, so just 40-something years.
Yeah.
That's an accomplishment, especially in this day and age.
Well, it's and a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, it goes back to why you've been able to and have been recognized in the blessing that you've learned to stay in tune with the flux. You roll with the punches. I've seen that in the time that I've been working with you. And if situation gets difficult, you figure out what we got to do and make it work. And that's a skill. In fact, I think that most business people, it's probably the number one mindset skill that they have to learn in growing a business and in serving a community and really changing the way that they see their purpose or their function is really becoming a great problem solver. So I've seen you do that over the years. Just a couple more questions because I know you're short on time. What do you see would be the future of Project Vida if you were not here from one day to the next?
We've talked about succession planning with our boards, and I think that it would be important for them to look fairly widely and find either an individual or a couple of individuals who can have a fairly broad sense of community and the different skill areas, healthcare, housing, etc., and continue to move the organization. I don't think it's an impossible skill set to find. I do think that it's going to take particular kinds of folk who want to do this.
Well, you have been, to me, a huge mentor, just in the way that you do what you do, and that you lead by serving, and you've impacted the community in such a way that has made a difference for thousands and thousands of people. So with that, I'm going to ask you if you would, do you have any advice for people that are endeavoring to make a difference, people that are endeavoring to better community in their business?
I guess there's some classic phrases that have helped me. The question is not who is right, but what is right. And that's a sense of staying focused on identifying what the issues are and where you see a way to address those issues creatively in context with others. That's a very general statement, but the way in which I see people get trapped is where they get caught about becoming defensive or trying to figure out who the enemy is and take the enemy out. And you can generate a lot of power in an organization by identifying an enemy, and that pulls everybody together for a while. But then people look for the next enemy, and often it's you. So stay away from that and keep focused on where things need to go. And sometimes you take the hit. Sometimes you lose money. Sometimes you get blamed for stuff. And when you take the hit, instead of trying to throw it back at somebody else or explain why that shouldn't have been, you take it and move on and keep focused on what needs to happen.
Take it as a learning experience and
Yeah.
move ahead. Do you foresee ever having a mentoring program?
I have no idea.
Well,
It's
that might be something to consider, because I think that you have, as I said a second ago, have made an incredible impact on this community, and I wish you and your family and everyone that you work with the best of luck and the best of success, and I really do hope sometime in the future that you look to put something together. I know that you have the skills to do it, and the community would be incredibly well served by learning some of what you've done and how you've done it, because then we could have this kind of a model really branch out into other areas and have other Project Vidas or similar entities. So my friend, it's been an incredible honor and an incredible blessing to have worked with you and to have been able to do this. So to everybody in the El Paso Business Network, again, this is Mr. Bill Schlesinger with Project Vida, incredible servant to the community, and I want to thank you once again for doing this with us.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.